Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I'm giving you an update straight from Captain Roger Lanier's mouth. He gave an update today on that white Hyundai Elantra that we've all been watching and hearing. It's really been the biggest break in the case that law enforcement has given us, right? To help us know where they're at in this investigation. The only thing that they've really shared that they're really looking into is this white car. Sure, you hear all these little pieces of the puzzles here and there, internet sleuths, people lying on videos. And at the end of the day, law enforcement can only share so much, right? Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. Captain Lanier, he gave an update around this white Hyundai Elantra. And in this update, he shared a few different things because truth is, we have been wondering about this. And so the Moscow Police Department, they're providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the four murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. And so in this immediate release today, he shared on this. And so I too want to share on that as well. So they have a YouTube Moscow Police POI, which is like Police uh, Information Officer, PIO, Police Information Officer, or something like that. And so I'm going to share with you what it is that he talked about. So listen up.
Take us back when investigators first started asking for video. What sources were you asking to get video from?
Well, we started looking for video the day of the crime. Officers on scene, before I even arrived, had identified certain residences in the area that had video cameras. We know just from past experience that security cameras, doorbell cameras, and the like are very, very commonplace now. And that's a part of our standard procedure is to start looking for a possible video source in and around crime scenes. So we started the day of the crime. And then that expanded as we got more investigators to the area for assistance, and we started putting together teams. And one of our team's sole job was to go through the King Road area, associated neighborhoods, and eventually the main thoroughfares in the city of Moscow, trying to identify videos, video cameras, etc., and then contact those business owners, contact those residents, and ask for copies of that video.
And initially, there was a particular area outlined as where the priority was for asking for video. Why was that area selected?
Well, that area was selected because essentially it surrounds the King Road area, and we know that people typically have to travel to and from. We weren't trying to pigeonhole our investigation into the suspect lives in the area. We wanted to make sure that we covered all the bases. And so as we began to gather more information, we began to expand our search area. You may recall from the second press conference that we specifically put out a plea to the public for any video in the King Road area, and then we gave a defined area, and we put that area on our website as well, asking residents, hey, if you have video or if your neighbor has video, let us know so we can get a copy of that. We understand that video has a finite life, and sometimes systems will start recording over themselves. So we started that process very, very early in the investigation.
Why ask the public for additional help with this white car?
Well, through our tips, through our leads, some of the evidence that came in, we start to identify patterns. And like we said earlier, we are confident that the occupant or occupants of that vehicle have information that's critical to this investigation. We also understand that even though there's sometimes a fascination with a particular case, some people simply don't see the news and may not know that we're looking for it. So if we get the word out there, hey, maybe your neighbor has one in the garage that they don't drive very often. Maybe there's one that's just not on the registration database. Let us know. So far, we have a list of approximately 22,000 registered white Hyundai Elantras that fit into our criteria that we're sorting through. That's an awful lot of information, but it may not be all of them. So the public can help us with that.
He says the public can help us with that. There are different ways that people might be able to identify a white Hyundai Elantra. And so he said that they are sorting through 22,000 registered 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantras that fit into the search criteria. And he thanks the public for providing any additional information about the vehicle. And tips and leads, they have led investigators to ask the public for additional help in searching for this white 2011-2013 Hyundai Elantra in the immediate area of the King Road residence, 1122 King Road, during the early morning hours of November 13th. Now, investigators, they say that they believe that the occupant or the occupants of this vehicle may have critical information to share in this case. And, truth is, we're still in wait-in mode. Here is what the car looks like to an extent. But we just recently found out about a gas station footage that the gas station attendant was just in her spare time looking through some video footage. She said she spent a number of hours. What I found interesting is that the police took 8 hours. It looks like it was like 8 hours of information, of video footage. Now, they originally were just looking for any videos around 3 to 4 in the morning. I believe that was the time frame. And so now they're sorting through a significant amount of video content, and they've received valuable leads on this Hyundai Elantra, but they're still asking for more help in this case, right? Because we know that this video footage that was found was at this food mart. It's an Exxon Mobil very close to the crime scene. And so this video, 8 hours, that has me a little stumped, because 8 hours and they were just looking for regularly like 1 hour's worth of video. But what really catches my attention is that this white car was seen in the area around 3:45 in the morning, which is shortly after this murder most likely happened. So I feel like the timeline of when this gas station found this footage kind of matches with everything that they've been looking for. And so the police ask, if you have any digital media videos that you can submit it at fbi.gov./Moscow, Idaho, or tip line at ci.moscow.id.us. And truth is, we have to wait to find out about this, because I'm glad he finally gave an update about this, but it was still not much. They're still searching for it. He didn't even talk about the gas station footage. I thought maybe he would talk about the gas station footage. And, Wow Me asks a great question. Did they check rentals? Any rentals in the area? Captain Lanier, he even said, he's like, maybe someone who has a car that hasn't been used and it's been sitting in the garage. We know about it. And here he is at least given us an update. But from the beginning, truth is, Moscow detectives have asked for any information or video from residents and businesses within the area. They have literally been asking for this since the beginning. And truth is, we don't know what they may have, but they've asked for any video from residents and businesses within the area of West Taylor Avenue, North Boundary, West Palooza River Drive, South Boundary, Highway 95 south to the 2700 block of Highway 95 South. east boundary, and Arboretum and Botanical Gardens west boundary, who have any video surveillance at their residence or business between 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Sunday, November 13th, 2022. And detectives, they're requesting all available video, whether there appears to be motion and content or not. So they're literally, and my fear is, are they grasping for straws here? Are they trying to find anything? Because I've had a couple commenters on my last video on this about the actual surveillance video from the footage and the car that they're actually looking for. There seems to be some similarities, but then it seems like maybe the back is a little different. Could it be because of the angle that the gas station attendant had captured that video? So that leaves the question, is that the video? But she also said that it was speeding by. And, that remains the question. Robert Sanders asked, I can't believe they haven't found it. I know if it was an area and had one, I would come forward. That is a great point. I actually thought about that too. It's like, how could someone not say, hey, I was in the area, I had a white car, because this thing is all over the news. But just like Captain Lanier said, that maybe they just don't even pay attention to true crime. Maybe they don't really watch the news. I don't know. Before I even got into creating true crime content, I followed true crime. It's one of the reasons why I got into this, because I like seeing how they come to their conclusions, how they find the bad guy. This is literally one of the most talked about stories on all true crime channels. Look at all the popular YouTubers around true crime. When they create content on this story, they get a lot more views, even if they have 100,000 subscribers. This one gets a lot more than any other videos that they do in between. I've noticed that as I look at other channels. This is one of the most talked about stories right now from anything you could have possibly heard of. The last story that was probably in the news as much from at least the true crimers was the Kylie Rodney, which I think I did one video on it. If it's not really true crime, I'm not trying to fish for views. Yeah, I want a growing channel, ethically, morally, led with God up front. I'm not trying to just fish for any view I can find. Obviously, this is a popular story, so I definitely want to keep it in the forefront because we need to have all eyeballs on this story. Same thing with this car. People are at the border patrols are looking for this car to make sure it's not passing borders. But going through 22,000 cars or tips or anything that can lead to this, that's a lot of tips, a lot of registered vehicles. And so they're sorting through 22,000 registered Hyundai Elantras 2011, 2013s that fit this search criteria. And so that's a lot. At least they are really doing their due diligence. They still don't have a murder weapon. They still have not named a suspect. Doesn't mean they don't have a suspect. It just means they have not named a suspect. Personally, I'm just speculating here. I believe they have someone on their radar. I believe that they really want to name a suspect. They're just being careful about it. That's my thought process, because they cannot just arrest someone, hold them for 48 hours, whatever the time frame is that they have to really hit them with something, right? And so when we hear things like this, truth is, this is it's kind of upsetting, to be completely honest with you. Because here is the truth. Why don't we know more? Well, there's a lot more that's coming out. I think the parents are sharing more about their frustration and I'm going to be doing another video here shortly. Hopefully I'll have time today about the parents' reaction. Oh my gosh, they're upset. Now the parents are upset at the coroner. Yeah, Kathy Mabu. They're upset at the coroner for saying too much. Well, I think the coroner just even said too much to them that maybe the police didn't want them to share. And so what we have to do is try to wait patiently, because a lot of us are following this story for a number of different reasons. In my case, I love true crime. And when I say I love it, I love the process of finding the bad guy. That to me is interesting. I hate that a victim was taken away, killed, hurt. I hate that 4 innocent victims in this who had so much life to live. No one should have their life taken sooner than needs be, right? We're supposed to live so many years barring any injuries or anything. But when someone takes your life, these people deserve justice. The perpetrators need to be brought to justice. We need to be a voice for the victims. Who else is going to speak out in their defense? They can't speak out anymore. They can't say, hurry up and solve my murder. Now, granted, some people go overboard in this stuff. They go way overboard with their theories, the stuff they're putting out there on social media. They're so convinced, they go to social media and say how convinced they are. I appreciate speculation. Keep it behind doors. But when you're going onto public platforms to give your theories, I mean, if you're going to play theory looking, I get it. But be careful when you're naming people. The fact that people are trying to blame 2 of the surviving victims, because they are victims. They were in the same home that the other 4 were killed. They are still victims of this heinous crime. Granted, they were not hurt. And it seems like as time goes on, some people are like, hey, I don't believe that those 2 are associated with this. But then little by little, it's like, well, that theory makes sense. Now I think it was them. You won't hear me do that. I do have someone on my radar, but I just don't think that's right. And I do believe that, there are a lot of innocent people involved as opposed to what people are saying. Internet sleuths, people who just like to cause drama. I've heard about this 4chan place. I'm not going to take something from 4chan and try to create content again. These people want to I get it. This is a thriving story. It helps your channel grow. But my gosh, some are just peeking for straws. But truth is, in that true crimer's defense, if people are watching it, why not create the content? If people are following it, why not create the content? So I'm a little mixed on both of those. I get it. Hey, if you're going to have 1,000 people on watching it, then it's worthy content for your audience. It's your audience, right? It's your channel. It's your audience. I get that. What I really want is that people are a little more careful when they're throwing names out there and when they're throwing people under the bus that have even been cleared. There are some weird things that have happened around this case. That grub truck story still blows my mind. The hoodie guy. I thought that he has been named. And it looks like maybe he hasn't been named. And so forgive me if I've named it and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Janice says everyone there is a suspect. That's a fair statement. I think everyone should at least be looked at until they're written off. But to disagree with you, Janet, I don't think the parents are a suspect. I do not think the parents are a suspect. The roommates maybe stay on the radar because you're in the home. You didn't hear anything. That's a little odd. So that's a fair statement there. But I don't think that the parents are suspects at all. I think we got some angry parents that want some answers. They've even lawyered up. At first they were thinking about getting a lawyer. Now they have a lawyer. I don't blame them. Steven Gonzalez is an angry father, and he wants answers. I don't blame him. I don't blame him for being in the news as much as he is. Keep this story in the spotlight. I'm sorry for Steven that these internet sleuthies put it on you because you're in the spotlight, or the neighbor. The neighbor who said he heard the scream. He does the right thing, comes out and says, I heard a scream and this is what I did, what I heard. And then guess what? The internet sleuthies has to dig into his background. And they have to put it out there on social media. I think that's the worst thing you can do. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. He's not perfect. He did the right thing, and then you're going to go and throw him under the bus. I don't understand that from people. I don't understand that. Maybe because I'm a smaller channel, I'm not getting as much hate yet, right? But truth is, what about respecting the case? What about being patient as they work this? Now, in my mind, I can only be patient. That's it. Because I'm not a detective. Yeah, I'm playing online detective. I'm trying to figure this out. I kind of want to put together a board and just have, this person his name has been up there. This person, there's all these different names, Jack this and Jack that. And, I get it. It helps the true crime channels get views. I get it. I'm learning this myself. Truth is, though, we should be careful when we're putting this stuff out there. I'm learning as I go. I'm learning this. We all saw what happened to another well-known popular true crimer. He got too greedy and he false information. It wasn't the first time he's done this either. There was the rumor. It was a false rumor about the victims being tied up and gagged, and allegedly he shared that. Why does he do that? He's already got a popular channel. He's already getting a lot of views. Why not keep it on the ethical side? That's why I'm a true believer that you should lead with God up front. Do it the right way. Because truth is, evilness has been existing in this world since day one. Evil will continue to exist in this world long after I'm gone, long after you're gone. It's here. It's not going anywhere. God gave us choices. We don't always choose the right way. But we can at least try to lead with our heart and lead and understand that these families are going through a lot. To go and dig up the family's past without them being considered a suspect and then to put it out there, I will never understand that. I do not understand that. And so at the end of the day, my thought process is, let's keep it on the right path. Let's let them do their justice. As they feed us information, run with that information. Now, I like some of these channels who, they go a little deeper dive into this, unanswered questions that you have, I have, and creating content around it. I like that. That makes sense. That's a great way to keep your channel talking about it when you're creating your own stuff and your own thoughts on it. But to throw people's name out there, that's kind of one of the reasons I do like Reddit. Reddit is a great source of information. And the moderators, for the most part, I'm still learning how that stuff goes, but the moderators, they try to keep it professional. I can appreciate that. There's a reason to keep it professional. I get the theories, I get the thoughts. But when you're throwing names out there, if I was accused of killing and I know that I was nowhere near or nothing capable of doing that, and then all of a sudden everyone comes attacking, that hurts. I'm sure that hurts, especially when you're innocent. Have you ever been accused of something you know you had nothing to do with? It is one of the worst feelings in the world. And truth is, we can't always avoid those things. All we can do is use it to learn from and move forward. Because truth is, people are going to be people. We all know that, right? People are going to be people. What we have to do is be patient, be understanding, and preferably be loving. I know that we want justice for these victims. I want justice for these victims as much as possible. I want us to find out about this Hyundai Elantra. And thank you to the captain for at least bringing it up and sharing that they have over 22,000 registered Hyundai Elantras that fit into this criteria. And so they're trying to, dive into everything that they can find about it. But at the end of the day, my friends, let's be patient. Let them do their job and let's not throw names and insinuendos out there. Yeah, we have our theories. I have a theory. Me and my wife talk about this all the time. My wife, she's not into this as much as I am. And because I'm doing all this true crime all the time, of course, this stuff's in my head all the time. Now, if I see a white Hyundai, I'm thinking about this case. Literally. And so a lot of things that just happen in our everyday life now, if you're in this true crime stuff, you're brought back to it over and over and over in thinking about these things because it's in your mind. And so when I'm doing all this, I try to even be respectful to my wife. I'm like, I don't want her to think that this stuff is overtaking my mind. It's not. But before you know it, she's bringing this story up. It is one of the most national driven media headlines out there. Literally. There's another one that I'm going to report on here in about an hour where the next, not far over at the Washington State University, there was a SWAT team. All of a sudden, all these people, is this related? Is this related? Is this related? My gosh, people are just, I don't know if they want attention or if they really believe that. Trust me, when I saw that, my first thought wasn't, is it related? That wasn't my first thought. Truth is, crime happens all over. I'm in the St. Louis area. And a couple days ago, someone going to a KFC drive-through, there was a shortage of corn. The customer is upset. He's yelling through the thing. He's upset that there's lacking corn. Just drive away. So whoever he's communicating with on the speaker, he gets upset too. And he goes out to confront the driver. He comes back in and says, I was shot. The guy shot him. Now, did the guy feel threatened? I don't know. He was upset because there was no corn. He didn't shoot in there. The guy went outside to confront him over, I don't know the whole story, but he was shot over a guy who was upset that there wasn't any corn. Goes out to confront him, comes back in shot. This is a crazy world we live in. You have to understand that if you're going to be confrontational with someone who's already confrontational, there may be some deadly consequences. And if you follow true crime, you know something could go wrong in a heartbeat. A small little argument can turn into death. My friends, that's why I say be careful in this crazy world we live in. You never know what could go wrong, right? And so that's exactly why I do this, to keep you updated on what could go wrong. My friends, if that sounds like the kind of content you like to follow, hit that subscribe button. Click on that like if you got some value from this and hit that notification bell. That way you get notified whenever I upload content, because this is not about me. This is about being a voice for the victims. This is about helping you know, wow, this is what could go wrong out there. I better be careful who I'm going to talk back to. I better be careful who I flip off because they ran in front of me. Or, I mean, how many times are we hearing about road rage leading into death or leading into shooting? What about the two dads that got into a road rage and then shoot each other's daughters? Who is capable of doing these type of things? I don't understand it. But I can tell you this, as a human, we do have that moment that is like, oh, I'm so angry. I want to, if you don't control it, it could be deadly for you. It could be deadly for someone else. and then you're left with regrets, or you're left 6 feet under, or you're left in the hospital. My friends, please be careful out there. And my friends, if you're a person of prayer, please pray that we get some justice for these 4 students who were savagely stabbed to death and left to bleed out. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Thank you for joining me live today. I look forward to serving you and being a voice for the victims again. Have a great day. Peace.